Have you ever felt like the more clearly you understand the world, the harder it becomes to speak about it? That as your thoughts grow deeper, the room around you seems quieter, not because people are listening, but because they're unsure how to respond. You're not alone, and you're not imagining it. Across history and into our modern world, intelligent people, those who question, who observe, who speak uncomfortable truths, have often felt like outsiders. Not because they are wrong, but because they are right. Too soon. Socrates was sentenced to death. Galileo was silenced. Tesla died in poverty. And even today, brilliant minds are often overlooked in favor of simpler, louder voices. But why? Why does intelligence unsettle people so much? Today we'll explore that unsettling question through the lens of philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer and what it reveals about not only intelligent people, but all of us. Let's begin with a truth that's hard to swallow. People don't just resist new ideas. They resist the people who bring them. When someone walks into a room with obvious physical strength, we admire their discipline. When someone is wealthy, we may feel envy, but we usually respect their success. But when someone speaks with sharp clarity and quiet depth, it's different. Their presence alone can be confronting. This reaction is rooted in something called the mirror effect. Intelligent people act like a reflective surface. They don't have to criticize or boast, they simply are. And their way of thinking, their curiosity, their discomfort with surface-level answers, makes others face the parts of themselves they avoid. It's not the deep thinker who creates tension. It's the thoughts they awaken in others. You see, most people define themselves by their ideas, beliefs, and assumptions. Intelligence, true, piercing intelligence, doesn't just challenge facts. It challenges identity. It calls into question the mental foundation we stand on. When someone's insights expose contradictions in our worldview, it doesn't just feel like disagreement. It feels like a threat to who we are, and the brain responds accordingly. Modern neuroscience shows that when people feel intellectually inferior, their amygdala, the brain's threat detector, activates. That's the same part of the brain that lights up when we sense danger. In other words, someone's intelligence can make us feel unsafe, not physically, but psychologically. We are wired for belonging, not truth. For most of human history, survival depended not on being the smartest, but on being accepted. To be cast out from the group meant death. And though society has changed, our biology hasn't caught up. So when a deep thinker challenges accepted norms, even gently, people instinctively defend their beliefs, not because they're confident, but because they're afraid. This is why intelligent people are often dismissed, ridiculed, or simply ignored. Not because they lack empathy, but because they unknowingly make others confront their own limits, and most people would rather avoid that mirror. Schopenhauer didn't view intelligence as a shining gift. He saw it as a heavy burden, a kind of curse that forces one to see too much, too clearly, in a world that clings to comfort over truth. In his view, the problem isn't that intelligent people are wrong. The problem is that they arrive at truth before society is ready to hear it. You don't have to search hard to see how this plays out. Our institutions, schools, workplaces, politics, and media, are not structured to nourish deep thought. They are built to sustain consensus. Take our education system. It claims to celebrate learning and growth, but in practice, it often rewards compliance. Students are taught to memorize facts, repeat accepted narratives, and perform well on standardized tests. But those who ask too many questions, especially the why questions, are frequently seen as disruptive. Children who challenge authority or deviate from the curriculum aren't usually celebrated as future visionaries. They're told to stay on track, to quiet their curiosity, the same pattern shows up in the corporate world. Companies often claim to seek innovation, but only when it doesn't challenge their existing systems. Employees who conform, who maintain the culture and avoid rocking the boat, are more likely to succeed than those who offer uncomfortable ideas. Creativity is fine as long as it doesn't threaten the hierarchy. And then there's politics, perhaps the clearest example. The public often favors emotional certainty over intellectual depth. Voters respond to simple sound bites, not complex truths. Leaders who speak with nuance, caution, and honesty about uncomfortable realities are frequently outshouted by those who tell people what they want to hear. Even in the digital world, where information flows faster than ever, deep thinkers find themselves sidelined. Social media algorithms reward engagement, not reflection. The more simplified and emotionally charged your message, the further it spreads. Thoughtful content, nuanced, layered, and slow-burning, rarely goes viral. How can you explain Schopenhauer's concept of the will in a 10-second TikTok? As a result, we live in a culture where those who speak loudly but say little rise to the top. Meanwhile, those who speak truth, carefully, humbly, and with depth, are often ignored or misunderstood. This is not a modern issue, it's a historical pattern. From Socrates to Galileo, from Nietzsche to Tesla to Alan Turing, society has always resisted those who arrive before the crowd. Because the sad truth is, we often fear what we don't yet understand. And deep thinkers are nearly always one step ahead. Arthur Schopenhauer didn't see intelligence as a gift wrapped in praise and success. He saw it as a burden, one that reveals too much of reality, too fast for a world built on illusions. For him, the true tragedy of intelligence wasn't failure or rejection, it was loneliness. At the core of Schopenhauer's philosophy lies the idea of the will to live. He believed most people are driven by this primal force, the instinctual craving for pleasure, survival, comfort, and distraction. This will govern our everyday lives, fueling ambition, desire, and the chase for happiness in things like status, relationships, entertainment, and wealth. But then there are those few who are not driven by comfort, but by clarity. These are the deep thinkers, the philosophical minds, the seekers of truth. They live under the influence of something far more rare and unsettling, the will to truth. This drive doesn't aim to soothe, it seeks to uncover. It pushes the individual to question everything, even if the answers lead to discomfort, isolation, or disillusionment. For people guided by the will to truth, ordinary life often feels hollow. Small talk becomes tedious. Ambition feels performative. Entertainment seems like a distraction from more meaningful inquiries. It's not that they look down on others, it's that they see beyond the mask of routine and can no longer pretend it satisfies them. Schopenhauer famously wrote, "A high degree of intellect tends to make a man unsocial." But he wasn't condemning intellectuals as snobs. He was explaining that the more you understand about human nature, the harder it becomes to engage in conversations built on pretense or illusion. Not everyone wants to go where your thoughts go, and that makes connection rare. Yet Schopenhauer didn't leave intelligent people without direction. He offered 3 strategies to endure this loneliness and even find empowerment in it. 1. Embrace solitude, not as exile, but as a sacred space for reflection, creativity, and depth. In solitude, the mind is free to roam without judgment. 2. Find kindred spirits, even if they're rare. Seek connection not in crowds, but in books, philosophy, quiet conversations, or intellectual communities. 3. Protect your insight. Not everyone will understand you, and that's okay. Share your thoughts with those who are ready, not with those who seek only comfort. In the end, Schopenhauer believed intelligence offers something deeper than happiness. It offers freedom. The freedom to see clearly, choose authenticity, and live in alignment with truth, even when society cannot see your value. And though the world may overlook deep thinkers in the moment, history never forgets them. So if you've ever felt out of place in shallow conversations, if you've been told you think too much, or if you've stayed quiet because the truth you carry is too heavy for the room, you are not broken. You're just awake in a world that prefers to sleep. And though it may be hard now, never forget. It is deep thinkers who move the world forward, not with noise, but with clarity. But what if it's not just your thoughts that unsettle people, but your very presence? If you found this video meaningful, you'll want to watch our previous one. 13 Signs Your Aura is So Powerful It Can Unsettle Others. Carl Jung. It explores how the energy you carry, without saying a single word, can ripple through others in ways they don't fully understand. Let's go deeper, together. I'll see you there.